The New York Giants are one of the most miserable franchises of the last 10 plus years. Winning more than 6 games just once since 2016, ever since reaching the highest of highs, they have settled into the lowest of lows. A quarterback is usually the thing to get teams out of this dire situation, yet Daniel Jones has them stuck in time, staring another 5-12 season directly in the face. He hasn't developed much at all since being drafted in 2019, and played his worst football last year before going down with injury after 6 games. But what if I told you his biggest flaw, reading the field, had almost everything to do with the team around him? Today we'll dive into what a read is, why it's at times his fault he can't get past his first one, and why the Giants' scheme and surrounding talent have made it impossible for him to succeed. We'll start with what a read is, which is when a quarterback looks at a receiver with the intent to throw. Most plays are designed with a first read, a second read, a third, etc. So the coach defines where a quarterback is supposed to start with his eyes, and if that first read isn't open, the quarterback progresses to the next. The QB's footwork is tied to the read, so a 1 to 3 step drop will generally be quick game shorter concepts. 5-step will be intermediate like digs and daggers, and 7-step is for when we're trying to hit a home run over the top. Quarterbacks who get stuck on their first read limit the offense, because defenses are so good and have only gotten better at figuring out how to defend and how to neutralize the first read. So when that first read is taken away and the QB can't hit the next guy, the ceiling for the offense plummets. Jones has always struggled to progress past his first read, but when diving deeper into the film, it's apparent why. The Giants' scheme and pass protection are atrocious. In their first game of the season, they got their cheeks blown out 40-0 at home against the Cowboys. Jones took 7 sacks. In fact, his 15.8 sack percentage is easily the highest of any quarterback of the last 5 years, and the Giants' pass protection continuously sped him up because they were incompetent. You could just see Jones' internal clock slowly start speeding up because he knew he wouldn't have time to progress past his first read. Here the Giants try to isolate Saquon Barkley one-on-one on his defender, and by pushing Darren Waller into Stephon Gilmore, Barkley can hide behind Waller and then break out. This is a good option for a first read, but to execute the route, Saquon has to sell the route, and by the time he comes open, Jones has to break the pocket with Micah Parsons flying in to avoid the sack. Against the Seahawks a few weeks later, he took 10 sacks, and their 2022 7th overall draft pick, Evan Neal, looked like he couldn't play at the NFL level. While his physical attributes are there, he hasn't produced since entering the league, and the Giants shoulder a lot of the blame. His lack of ability to protect speeds up Jones to the point where he can't progress past that first read and makes him fidgety in the pocket to where he can't operate the offense. This isn't a pass play, but you can see Neal's lack of technique, which is why he's failed at the NFL level thus far. This is all the makings of a promising power run concept. Neal hits Jarran Reed, Marcus Nikitin hits the blitzing Jordan Brooks, Darren Waller silos off Bobby Wagner, and then Shane Lemieux pulls all the way across the field to kick out Uchenna Nwosu. Everything is set. But watch Neal, his technique is terrible. He's supposed to try to hit the outside shoulder of Reed to wall off the C gap and pin him inside, but he throws his weight and head to the opposite shoulder. With his momentum flying to the left, Reed easily pulls him with the current, and because of the inability to seal the alley, Reed blows the play up. This is the clearest example of bad technique I could find to show you guys, and trust me, it continued to show up in the passing game too. Jones was one of the most pressured quarterbacks in the league at 45%, nearly 1 of every 2 snaps he was pressured, which is insane. So he became hesitant in the pocket and started fidgeting around when that first read wasn't there. The pass pro was horrible, and as I mentioned, so was the scheme. The Giants have done a terrible job of acquiring talent for him to throw to, and the way they deployed that talent has been even worse. Whether it was featuring Cody Bellinger and making him the first read to where, yeah, if he gets pressed, he's not going to win, or betting everything on Darren Waller being the guy when he'd already been declining, and now he's doing music in the ocean or something. This is not the route running ability of a dynamic NFL receiver, and when he's the first read in the concept, you are pretty much doomed. The actual play designs were terrible too. The coaching points weren't there, the small details were lacking, certain aspects of plays were installed for no reason. First off, this concept is designed as a 3-level stretch. Darius Slayton runs off the coverage deep, so he's not even in the progression, and then Jalen Hyatt runs the deep over as the first read with a flat route to make Jamal Adams either fall back deep opening the flat, or vice versa. But for some reason, the Giants have Slayton run a stutter go double move, and while it doesn't affect the play too much, it creates a slightly muddier read to the outside. Then flipping over to Hyatt, this receiver always runs what's called a stair-step technique to keep the cornerback deep and away from undercutting his route. Stair-step is when he's starting to run this crosser, but instead of just running flat across the field, he steps into the corner to push him deep and threaten him vertically, so that the corner can't just beeline to beat Hyatt to the spot and pick this off. And my third issue with the concept, usually teams run a flat or late flat underneath to stretch out Jamal Adams like I said. But with Paris Campbell and Bellinger doubling the end, there's no flat, at least when there needs to be. Adams isn't threatened, so Jones is forced to throw late and Campbell gets blown up. Let's adjust the type of play fake to an outside zone run and put Breida on the end so Campbell can run quicker to the flat. Or, if we're that worried, he can bang him inside and Breida can take the outside, but these little details were never thought of and compounded into giant issues. Or there was a time where they ran this drift concept, but once again the details of the play were missing and Jones technically takes one of his 10 sacks here. The drift concept is a quick-hitting over-the-middle play-action concept where the receiver takes 5 quick steps and on his 5th breaks over the middle. Timing is of the utmost importance on this concept because Jones is going to hit his back foot, and the moment he does, lightweight without seeing it's open, he's letting it rip. But Isaiah Hodgins stutters at the top of his route and throws off the timing, and it's not open. You can see right when Jones hits the top of his drop, if Hodgins is here, there is a tiny window to fit it through. But there's a lack of attention to detail with the Giants that makes promising plays turn into dead ones. Sometimes the players don't play full speed. Here the rookie Jalen Hyatt's job is to run off the coverage, but he jogs out of the gate knowing he probably won't get the ball, and the defender isn't threatened and the pass is almost intercepted. The Giants just did not know how to prepare their guys to get them on the same page. So even if the play calling is okay, even if the talent is there, both weren't, if your guys aren't communicating properly, nothing is going to work. Here it looks like Cody Bellinger is getting his ass kicked and Jones takes a sack, but that's not the case. You can see after the play that Bellinger is yelling at Evan Neal to C block, which is when the tackle and tight end combo block together. Center and guard is an A block, guard and tackle is a B, so that's why this should have been a C. You can see Bellinger takes half of the linemen because he's expecting Neal to help him inside. And why would Neal even be trying to push so far horizontally when we're trying to protect for play action? All of these issues piled up and piled up, landing on the shoulders of Daniel Jones. No, I'm not saying I think he's good, but when looking deeper into why he struggled so much in 2023, especially to get off his first read, it's extremely apparent. He didn't trust his protection, he didn't trust his guys to get to the right spot, and he didn't trust his scheme or coach. With all of these different factors pulling at him every time he dropped back to pass, the moment his first read wasn't open, he knew he was about to get hit or something bad was about to happen. This is not how you develop a quarterback. I don't think Jones has the raw ability to be that quarterback that you can easily build from the ground up. Due to his lack of natural ability, he's gonna be harder to develop. But after the Giants went to the playoffs and upset the Vikings in 2022, and then gave him the extension, it was then time for a good organization to build off their new established base, but instead, they crumbled. The Giants will continue to be mired in their losing ways come 2024 because they failed to build a true foundation. The question of whether or not their quarterback is good is a challenging one to answer, even after reviewing the film, because almost no QB could have survived these circumstances. However, Brian Daboll did have big success in year one, so he is capable of doing it. If he can turn it back around and do the same with Daniel Jones, the Giants could finally find some real success.